What is the best structure for keeping your students engaged when you're teaching live or blended? Find out in this video. Hey everyone, welcome back and hello. If you're new here, my name is Janelle and I help business owners to create online courses that get results. In this video, we are going to talk about one of my favorite course structures, which is the flipped classroom. So if you haven't heard of the term flipped classroom, you might be wondering, what is it? Well, it's a really cool structure that you use in a blended teaching environment. So if you're not sure, again, I'm throwing some terms out, but blended simply means you have some components of your course in a course platform, and then you have a live component of the course. And this is where flipped classroom works really well. So what it is, the way that it all works is, instead of using the live portion for lectures, in a flipped classroom structure, all of your course content, so we're talking about your lectures, your assignments, media resources, everything is going to be in a platform. And your live component, right, the times that you meet with your students are reserved for discussion, office hours, Q&A, whatever you want to call it. Hot seat maybe, but it's purely for that type of discussion. In other words, you're not teaching live. Students are expected to do the work beforehand and come to the live session with their questions. Some of the benefits of using a flipped classroom are there's more engagement. Instead of students showing up and just kind of passively taking it in, they're more proactive and active within the live component because they've already done the work, they have questions around the work, and it just changes everything. And I found that it can be more lively. And you don't have to worry about sitting there lecturing. Students have already digested that in the platform. So this raises the instructional experience for everyone, right? Students come prepared, they have questions, they're interacting with each other, they're interacting with you, and it just creates a richer experience for your course. It's also more efficient. Instead of you lecturing and then sending students off to do the work, they do the work ahead of time and come to class with questions. So everyone is happy. Let's talk about the consequences. So one of the big cons for the flipped classroom is students who don't do the work ahead of time will come to the live sessions unprepared. And if you're not teaching the content live, as you aren't in this structure, then they can start to disengage and sometimes just feel bad, right? Because they feel a little bit left behind. They don't have questions, they haven't seen the material. And this is just kind of a downer for everybody in the session if you have several students who do this. So what I would do is set clear expectations on what you expect of your students for this type of structure to work. You really need everybody to show up prepared. So how do you set those expectations with your students? One of the easiest things you can do that I highly recommend is, after students register, there should be some type of orientation email sequence. So in that orientation email, letting your students know how the course is going to be structured, what the live sessions, what's going to happen live and versus what's going to happen in the course platform, and what they need to do to prepare for the live sessions. Secondly, you want to have a welcome lesson in your course. And this welcome lesson should reiterate some of the things that we just mentioned that you would have in the orientation email. So just reiterating the structure, reiterating the flipped classroom approach and what is expected of students. Also providing the link for them to join. That's a big one you don't want to forget. And lastly, what I like to do is, in that first live meeting, there's a little flexibility, right? So that first one is really just introductions, setting expectations for the course. Maybe there was a little bit of content that I wanted them to review, but I don't like that first session to be too overwhelming for people. So you can give yourself a little space and give your students a little space to get acclimated to how things are going to work by keeping that live session a little bit light. All right, so that's going to do it for flipped classrooms. Just to recap, in today's video, you learned what flipped classrooms are, when to use them, the pros and cons of using them, and how to set proper expectations with your students so they can come prepared. So, do you have questions about flipped classrooms? Or have you used this structure and you just want to share your experience? I would love to hear what is working for you and if you've tried this. Go ahead and pop your questions or comments down below. And if you like this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up and also subscribe.